So I want to bring in CNN legal analyst Elie Honig. Elie is a former federal and state prosecutor. And Elie, before we get to your weekly cross-exam segment, I want to ask you about this statement because you are one of the 1,100 former federal officials who signed on to it.
Right.
What went into making that decision?
So I don't sign a letter like this lightly, and I served as a prosecutor under both Republican and Democratic administrations. In fact, more time under Republican administrations. But I think what we've seen from Bill Barr over his entire first year in office is really unprecedented, and it's different in kind from what I've seen from any other attorney general. I think his actions culminating last week have really undermined DOJ's credibility and independence, and when you're a prosecutor, that's really all you got.
Okay, let's move on to our cross-exam so we can get to our viewer questions. You received a lot of questions about the Roger Stone case this week. One viewer wants to know, how unusual is it for the Justice Department to change its initial sentencing recommendation as it did in the Stone case?
So in my time as a prosecutor, I did and saw and supervised thousands of sentencings. I've never seen this. It is completely unprecedented. As you just laid out, we had the prosecutors who tried and convicted Roger Stone recommended 7 to 9 years. That's based on the guidelines. They didn't make that number up. Then Donald Trump unleashes this tweet storm saying it's horrible and unfair. And then the Justice Department bosses, Bill Barr and his people, come in and reverse it and say, we want far less, that's their quote, far less time for Roger Stone. And to me, that really goes to the heart of what DOJ is all about. Like we said, credibility and independence. You lose that as a prosecutor and you've got nothing.
The president also criticized the judge involved in Roger Stone's case. And this viewer asks, does the president have the power to remove or discipline judges?
No. So the way it works is the president nominates federal judges at all three levels, U.S. Supreme Court, the federal courts of appeals, and the district court. Then the Senate confirms those judges. Once they are confirmed, they serve life terms. There is nothing the president can do to remove a federal judge, to punish a federal judge, to discipline a federal judge. And that's by design. Our framers wanted an independent judiciary beyond the reach of politics. So when Donald Trump lashes out, like we saw last week at the judge in the Roger Stone case, he's really attacking the idea of an independent judiciary. It was really good to see the chief judge down in D.C. stand up and say, we're not about politics, we're about the law here.
We also received questions about, again, the firing of Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman. And here's the question. Did the president actually break the law against witness retaliation, since Vindman was one of the key impeachment witnesses?
So I got in a little tiff this week. A professor, not a prosecutor, a professor wrote an article in the Washington Post saying I was wrong that it was witness retaliation. But let me tell you why I'm right and he's wrong. So first of all, you need to have a harmful action. That includes an employment-related action. No question here. One thing that professor said, though, is there maybe wasn't an intent to retaliate, which is one of the things. He said, well, Vindman had performance issues. Nonsense. Donald Trump specifically tied that firing to the testimony. And by the way, why go after Vindman's twin brother, too, if it wasn't retaliatory? The other point the professor made is, well, presidents have very broad authority to get rid of people that they don't want to work with. I agree, but not if the reason is criminal. Let's say, hypothetically, Donald Trump took a bribe to move Vindman out. That would be a crime. That would be bribery. Same thing here. Witness retaliation is a crime. If the motive was to retaliate, that's a crime. I stand by what I said. I'm right. I'm right.
Oh, okay. Well, you had the last word, at least on this show.
Yeah.
What are your top 3 questions for this week?
Gosh, so many questions. I thought this was supposed to be a quiet week, and it turned out being a big one. So first of all, what sentence will Judge Amy Berman Jackson impose on Roger Stone? That's scheduled to happen Thursday. I do think she's going to come in below the 7 to 9 year mark. I think she's going to weigh all the factors, but I do think she's going to impose a significant sentence of 7 years. Second of all, will Donald Trump continue to inject himself in DOJ cases? And third, if he does, how will Attorney General Barr respond? He pushed back a little last week. Trump then immediately tweeted. So what's Barr going to do? Is he going to stand up for DOJ again? Is he going to resign? Or is he just going to sort of put his head down and carry on business as usual?
Really quick, Elie, why was what Barr said not enough?
Well, look, it's a step in the right direction, but the problem is he has a full year. He distorted the Mueller report. He tried to keep the whistleblower complaint from going to Congress. He stepped into the Flynn case, the Stone case. So I give him credit for saying what he said, but it doesn't undo a year's worth of what I think is bad actions and not impartial actions.
All right, Elie Honig, always good to have you here.
Thanks,
Thank
Anna.
you.